welcome to the stream. The fucking witches. Yeah. OBS insisted on doing some more dumb shit before like right before the stream started. So hopefully everything's still in working order. I set the bitrate to what it usually is. The little kilobytes a second thing in the corner is, it's all red and yellow, so I don't think that's a good thing. Anyways, I'm gonna boot up the game. Yeah, and I made absolutely certain that the stream is at ultra low latency. So if there's tons of fucking stream lag again, God help me, I guess. Video games. I'm just gonna go and check and make sure. Yeah, it looks like it's alright. It seems like it's alright. Me when the witch. Me when I try the. Me when I eat the Ushidomiya Happy Meal at 3 AM and I turn into Beatrice. I did not load my save. Yeah, oh yeah, also, since the last stream, I have confirmed, Tsukihime does, in fact, have sex in it, unfortunately. There's also a bunch of other shit that has led me to confirm that I am not going to be streaming Tsukihime, ever. I'm still gonna be playing it, though. I want to see more of Roa. I like Roa. Serious? Fuck. Is it better? There's no sound on umineko for some reason. I'm gonna restart the game. I fucking hate it when I go to when I go and I close a program, and when I try to close it, it stops responding. It's like, do you want to hey, it's not responding. Do you want to close the program? Like, yeah. Of course I do. That's what I'm trying to fucking do. Okay, there we go. Now, if the audio's still clipping, I think it's worth it. I think it would be worth blaming on the fact that I'm at 1,600 bytes per second, and I have no idea how to fix that. Because it's usually way higher. Yeah, is the audio still clipping? Oh, okay. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Okay. Okay, thank you. Alright, time to finally play the game, okay. That Lacoon, let's leave him be. After Aunt Eva said that, I stopped talking to him. Misplaced words of comfort might actually do more harm than good. Jessica sat down next to Aniki and put an arm around him. Maybe only Jessica, who had known about Aniki and Shannon's love since the beginning, and who had even discussed that relationship with Shannon, could comfort Aniki now. I went over to Aunt Eva and sat down on the opposite sofa. In the opposite sofa. Fuck. Rattler-kun, you really are strong. It looks like you kept a good hold on yourself. Well, look. The depth of love becomes the depth of the wound, right? Why is he fucking grimacing so hard? What's with that face, man? What does this look like with the... Hang on. There's something that I kind of hate about the new images sprites for it's fucking... God damn it, give me a second. Forever. Actually, no, I think it's specifically this sprite. Hang on. This specific sprite, there's something about it I really don't like, I think. Cause like, she looks kind of good here, but like, she looks alright here, but there's I don't know. Either way, I like the originals better. I just prefer them. After all, it's not like how that old bastard died has anything to do with me. I feel bad about Kairi-san, but, well, she wasn't actually my parent. My. If that's so, you certainly were crying a lot back then. Well, I did think at least that much crying was due as gratitude to the parent who raised me. The speed of that changeover and that dry tone must have come from Rudolph. He's sad and angry. But he'd always regain his cool immediately afterwards. It's nothing like that. I haven't really been able to get over the shock yet. I think the only difference between me and everyone else is the kind of emotions it stirred in me. What do you mean? I've been acting much calmer than George, Annika, and Jessica. That wasn't because my sadness was any less intense, because I'd already recovered. My sadness was simply getting replaced gradually with a different emotion. Rather than sad, I'd say I'm more pissed off. What bastard did this, and where? It's kind of been eating at me that I didn't get a chance to smack him upside the face. That was what I really wanted to do. Couldn't forgive myself if I just sat there, overwhelmed with sadness and hugging my knees. Since the time Dad and the others were killed, Silent's been covered by the typhoon. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna check and make sure the stream is like. Oh yeah, it's pretty up to date. Which means the bastard responsible for all this is still somewhere on this island. Yes, that would seem to be the case. I wonder if they're hiding somewhere in that dark forest even now. You know something? I kind of want to make a Talkloid bit for the Battler's Beatrice removal service. Thing. Oh, I want to make like a I want to use Vocaloid and make like a little advertisement. I already have a script written up, and the Vocaloids I want to use for it. I felt like I'd had a very similar conversation with Kairi-san the night before. That's right. After the letter from the person claiming to be Beatrice appeared at the dinner table last night, we talked about whether or not a 19th person actually exists. Aunt Eva, do you think this murder has anything to do with the letter from Beatrice last night? Ah, that one? Well, I wonder. All the siblings agree that a mysterious letter was sent to further complicate the problem of father's inheritance. As to whether that and the case this morning are related, it's impossible to tell at this stage. Was that letter really given to Maria by some witch called Beatrice? How could it be? All of it was a farce devised by father, wasn't it? I mean, 6 people did die. Like the 6 people in the witch's epitaph. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying, the epitaph foresaw this. Shrug. He made Shannon-chan or someone wear the dress from the portrait and trick Maria-chan, right? Isn't that just the kind of overly intricate prank father would pull? Last night, I talked with Kairi-san about whether Beatrice actually exists. And Kairi-san also said that Beatrice was probably one of the 18 of us. Isn't that obvious? There's no one else on this island besides us, right? And there must be someone amongst our minds. Be someone amongst us who's pretending to be Beatrice. There's no one else but us on this island, you think? Obviously, right? Are you saying there could be someone else here other than us? No one is on this island except us. There are only 18 people. So the one pretending to be Beatrice has to be one of those 18. Kairi-san denied the existence of a 19th person by spinning the chessboard around. Even though Aunt Eva hadn't constructed an argument that complicated. Her opinion, at least, was the same. Except, if that's the case, her situation starts to look very ugly. At the time of Beatrice's letter, the whole thing could be passed off as a prank set up by someone or another. However, we're assuming there's no 19th person. We can't ignore this anymore. In other words, if there is no 19th person, then the culprit who killed Dad and the others is also one of the 18, right? So, in other words, the person who killed them is one of the people inside this very mansion right now. Aunt Eva smiled meaningfully. It looked like she thought It looked like she thought this conclusion should have been obvious from the very beginning. The culprit carried the bodies of those 6 into the storehouse. But even that was an impressive feat, don't you think? That shutter is always closed and locked, right? In other words, in order to carry them into the storehouse, the culprit would need to unlock the shutter. Understand? Is it possible the shutter was left open by mistake that day? The servant said it's always kept locked. In other words, unless the culprit took the keys from the servant room, there's no way they could have opened the storehouse. I wonder if the key in the servant room was the only one. Genji-san said that was the case. Which means the culprit knew where that single key was kept. He took it. Just now. Hang on, is my audio's on, just making sure. Just now, I watched when Kanon-kun returned the key to the servant room. The wall was packed with keys, and I don't think a novice would know where or what those keys went to. The culprit was miraculously able to find the storehouse key among all of those. Furthermore, even though the key didn't have a tag or anything sticking to it, they knew it was the key to the storehouse behind the rose garden. And that means they also knew where the storehouse was. I'll say it even clearer. The culprit knew the inside of the servant room well. Her argument was extremely plain and clear. If the bodies had been found thrown somewhere in the bushes of the rose garden, there wouldn't have been much to go on. However, there was only one key to the storehouse in the servant room, and it was stored with such a large group of keys a novice would not be able to tell them apart. This meant the culprit was someone who went into the servant room a lot and was familiar with the locations of the keys. The family members didn't normally go into the servant room, which meant that one of the servants is the culprit. I'm sorry, but I think that's Rosa. I'm sorry, but even I can't tell you any more than that. However, I'll tell you one thing. What's that? It's reasonable to think that the culprits are multiple in number. Why is that a different color? Why is it red? Why is the continue button red? Hello? Hello? Help. Are multiple in number and fairly well armed. They'd have to be, wouldn't they? They had to assault the four in the dining hall and kill them, drag a total of 6 bodies all the way to the storehouse beyond the rose garden, and arrange for that disgusting makeup and the graffiti on the shutter. There's no way that a single culprit could carry out all of that on their own, right? It made sense. It probably would have been possible for a single person with enough time, but it would take so incredibly long. It was probably safe to assume that a significant number of people were involved. God, I need to play this fucking game more often. It's getting so good. Even without the witch, even without Beatrice, I fucking love murder mysteries. Like, especially in settings like this. So what you're saying is that maybe all of the servants were in cahoots. Please keep it quiet, okay? It wouldn't be right to voice mere speculation like this. And if it really is true, what would you do next? They might not let us leave here alive. There's an opponent who had no trouble killing Nissan and the 3 others. Right now, the only ones I can count on to fight with are the 3 in my family, and maybe you. Which comes to a total of 4 people, right? We're no better off than they were last night. In short, it'd be easy for the culprits to massacre the rest of us. I've been playing detective with Aunt Eva, trying to expose the person who killed Dad and the rest before the police did. Yeah, 6 people died on the first night. Or on the first Twilight or whatever. So, I'm pretty sure that everything is going according to the Witch's Epitaph. So, today is the 2nd day, so, on this Twilight, 2 that are close are going to be ripped apart. And, like, I'm not sure who that's gonna be. Ugh, sorry, I've got the mid-afternoon sleepy. I'm not sure who that's gonna be. But like, yeah. If I had to guess, as of right now, it's probably going to be, Battler and Jessica, or, Eva and somebody else. Like, right now, she's trying to, like, create a rift between herself and, like, a few other people. If only I could cleverly penetrate the culprit's identity and stick the proof in their face. I'd been so sure that, just like in one of those detective movies, the culprit would then give up and surrender. However, the culprit would only surrender if there was no way for them to fight back. The culprits behind the crime on this island were far from helpless, and might even be able to massacre all of the remaining people here. And on top of that, this island was like a giant closed room, cut off from the outside world by a typhoon. So they had a full day until tomorrow to kill, scheme, and camouflage themselves. In short, it wasn't a safe atmosphere where you could get very far by playing detective. To the contrary, we were at a stage where we had to be scared stiff, since playing detective might displease the culprits and cause them to commit another mass murder. Well, it is just a possibility, right? But I can't bring myself to trust the servants yet. And that doesn't mean I only suspect them. Don't you think there might be some mastermind behind all this? A mastermind? Why do you say that? It's just a feeling. Think about what the word servant literally means. It means someone who serves as someone else's arms and legs, right? It was a bunch of Ushinomiya family members who got killed. So naturally, there must be someone involved who stands to gain from that result. This was also plain and clear. The Ushinomiya family had been right in the middle of discussions about how to distribute the inheritance when grandfather died. If this case followed the standard form of any classic mystery novel, the crime was definitely caused by someone with ties to the Ushinomiya family, and who was involved in the inheritance problem. Aunt Eva had probably read a few books in that genre herself. Her argument may have had a few blind assumptions in it, but it was a standard conclusion that anyone might have reached. I think most people would end up suspecting the servants, even if they used different reasoning to get there. Especially the story about the key to the shutter. That made it very easy to suspect that one of the servants was involved. And that's why I don't like it. What do you mean you don't like it? Nah, just talking to myself. I tried to dodge your question by joking, but I couldn't erase the sense of unease welling up inside me. After all, the conclusion was such an easy one to reach. A conclusion that anyone could reach. I just couldn't be satisfied with that. I tried spinning the chessboard around like I'd learned from Kairi-san. This was exactly why a servant couldn't possibly be the culprit. If the servants really were the culprits, they wouldn't hide the bodies in a place connected to themselves. Why on earth would they use the Rose Garden shed if they were the ones in charge of the key that could unlock it? The police would probably immediately pursue whoever had been in control of the key. It was even possible that some other facts might come to light as a result. The more we think of the servants as the culprits, the less reason they had to carry the bodies into the storehouse. But what if they knew we'd think that and put the corpses in the storehouse for that very reason? Oh no. Don't say that. Don't say that. It puts you in a fucking spiral. I've been in those fucking spirals. Like, way too many fucking times. It's not good. It's not good. No, that's completely impossible. When the police come and inspect the scene of the crime, they'll probably be able to uncover many things. No matter how carefully the culprits carry out that murder, some traces will definitely be found. In other words, they had everything to lose and nothing to gain. If you think about it this way and look at this murder game from the culprit's side, it's hard to imagine why they'd want to call attention to the corpses. Once the corpses were found, it could result in someone sending a report to the police, or it might make the remaining people more cautious, or it might make the survivors start to search for the culprit. None of these things would make life any easier for the culprit. It's just like the words of the main character's mother in a novel I read recently. Oh my fucking god! What? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? They're referencing fucking Higurashi? Oh my god. In a novel I read recently called Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. Every story needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Eliminating that beginning is essential for the perfect crime. Right now, we don't know where grandfather is. Actually, wait. What is this isn't like a I'm pretty sure that this takes place in like a parallel world to Higurashi. Right? I don't know. I had some train of thought there, but I don't know where it went. Right now, we don't know where grandfather is. We don't know if he's already become a victim or if he's one of the culprits. But this state of confusion must be beneficial to the killer. The culprit has absolutely nothing to gain by showing us the bodies in such an obvious way and making us all realize there's been a murder. In fact, this is the perfect place to spin the chessboard around. In other words, showing us the corpses in such a flashy way must be the culprit's goal in and of itself. So, at the very least, to the culprit, the appearance of 6 corpses there meant more than the deaths themselves. In other words, the culprit wanted this murder on display. To whom? To us. This is a message. The culprit's trying to shove something in our faces. I don't know what it is. At this point in time, this vulgar mass murder isn't making me feel anything except towards all of us. Malice towards all of us. Is it? Each one of the survivors has some sort of connection to one of the 6 victims. Uncle Cross's death brought Jessica the grief of losing a family member. The deaths of Dad and Kairi-san brought me sorrow, while Aunt Rose's death brought Maria sorrow. Goda-san's death probably shocked his fellow servants, and Shannon-chan's death brought grief to both George Aniki, who had proposed to her, and Kanon-kun, who had loved her like an older sister. Everyone now on this island has received an equal amount of sadness. Aunt Eva was sure that the servants were in cahoots. But then, how could you explain the deaths of Goda-san and Shannon-chan? At any rate, by this argument... Yeah, it's the witch! It's the fucking... Oh, I'm the fucking witch! It's the fucking, it's the, do you think Beatrice pays her taxes? I don't think she does. At any rate, by this argument, the grief caused by the 6 deaths hit everyone but Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi. Even Aunt Eva, who had directed suspicion of the servants and acted as though she herself was beyond suspicion, could not be ruled out as a suspect. In the first place, she was able to argue that the servants were suspicious by focusing on the shutter's key. But if you look at it from a perspective of motive and who would gain, Aunt Eva's name rises to the top of the list. You're thinking, Butler-kun? Huh? Huh? Oh no! Please don't tell anybody about how my head's so... Stop thinking about sex! Stop talking about sex! anybody about how my head's so full of obscene stuff. I'm the one who's going to gain the most from these murders. Since I'm going to be suspected anyway, may as well get it out in the open. I tried to dodge the issue by joking around, but apparently it didn't work. The inheritance will be divided into as many parts as there are siblings. But right now, I'm the only one of the 4 left. All of the assets of the Ushinomiya family will become mine. If Uncle Hideyoshi heard you, he'd say, "Could you give it a rest? It's not funny." I'm sorry. I was just fooling around, since I'm going to be suspected anyway, no matter how much I try to smooth it over. That's why, from my point of view, this murder might have been designed to cast suspicion on me. Unfortunately, my alibi for last night is weak. Could you tell me a bit more about last night? As you know, the discussion between the siblings of how to slice up and eat the inheritance continued until late in the night. I don't know how late it lasted. My husband and I had woken up early that morning. We were so sleepy and a little past midnight, they let us go. We then returned to the guest house and rested there. Can anyone other than Uncle Hideyoshi prove that? No, wait, it's not like I suspect you or anything, okay? Oh, you sure about that? I don't know if it counts as proof, but when we returned to the guest house, we were greeted by Genshi-san, who asked if we needed a towel. I think that should be enough to prove we returned to the guest house a little after midnight. Though, if my theory was correct, the servants would all be in cahoots, and that wouldn't actually make for much of an alibi. Wait, why did Genji ask if they needed a towel? Is this another sex thing? Is this another sex thing? Stop talking about sex! Stop talking about sex! Please! Please! Hey, you've got a point there. Guess that means I'm playing detective with the real culprit right now, huh? However, let me say this for my honor's sake. If I was after the inheritance, I'd never commit such a bizarre set of murders. After all, if I just wanted to make them forfeit their rights to the inheritance, it wouldn't matter to me how they died. It'd be much smarter of me to try and make their deaths look like accidents. Especially if you're assuming I laid out some careful plan that involved even the servants. You've got a point there. If you're killing someone for personal gain, you definitely shouldn't make it look like a murder. Exactly. That's why I'm in such a blue mood. The police will probably treat me like the mastermind and investigate all kinds of things. Not fun at all. Aunt Eva shrugged with a bitter smile. It was just as easy to suspect Aunt Eva as it was to suspect the servants. So if we spin the chessboard around, does that make it impossible for the culprit to be her, suspicious as she is? However, if that sort of argument always works, then motive can never help us in any way. No, that can't be right. Knowing the motive must give us powerful clues towards knowing the culprit. That's why murderers from all time periods disguise crimes in complicated ways, cleverly preventing their motives from being discovered. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Every time I spin the chessboard around, it keeps flipping from front to back and back to front. Are my thoughts bringing me closer to the truth? Or are they... Aunt Eva didn't want to talk any more than that, so I folded my arms and headed to the window to cool my head a little. As I looked over the parlor, I saw George, Aniki, and the others gathered, talking. It looked like they were talking about the magic circle that had been painted onto the shutter. As Uncle Hideyoshi thought back to that time, he started drawing the shape in the margins of Maria's notebook. I see. Since Maria was second only to grandfather in knowledge of the occult, she might understand what it meant.
I think it was probably something like that. There was a mark that looked like a variation of a cross. And then, surrounding the circle all around the perimeter were these closely packed strange letters on all four sides of the cross. And in the four corners there was something written. It didn't look like the alphabet or something like that. It was what they call ancient characters. And around the top of the circumference, there was a small mark. 5 small circles arranged in a plus sign, and straight lines connecting them. Ah, yeah, there definitely was something like that drawn there. There definitely was something like that drawn there. Yep, there's no mistaking the shape. I don't understand the thin characters, but the arrangement was nearly the same.
Everyone was staring down at the shape, so I stared down at it too. From what I'd heard, this had been painted on the shutter to the storehouse with some material that looked like blood. I see. This sure is unsettling. Grandfather's probably the only one who'd want to draw something this weird. Seriously, where did he go? I want to grab him and ask what the hell this is supposed to mean. Jessica's voice contained impatience and anger. She hadn't gone so far as to say grandfather was the culprit, but she seemed sure that grandfather knew something about the culprit's background. Of course, if you were searching for a link connecting the Ushiromiya family to the occult, 10 out of 10 people would think of grandfather. Also, to a person who knew nothing of the occult, this strange mark would have no meaning, which meant that this might have been something addressed to grandfather. That's right, and the reason the crime was shown to the survivors was so they'd find this. In that case, where had grandfather, the essential recipient of this message, disappeared off to? Does this shape ring any bells? Maria looked at the shape with a serious face. Maybe she was enthusiastic because this was her area of expertise. However, her appearance was that of someone separated from the events at hand, as though this thing hadn't been drawn on the shutter closed around as though this thing hadn't been drawn on the shutter closed around her mother's corpse. My first impression was that the design resembled a German cross.
Certainly does have that kind of design. Does that mean it has something to do with Germany? The German cross was originally a crest from a religious order of knights, and was supposed to protect pilgrims traveling to sacred places.
So in other words, this magic circle might have some religious meaning? This is starting to sound like gibberish. When I looked over at all of them, preparing to jump into the discussion, something shocked me. Maria was smiling, an eerie and incomprehensible expression on her face. It was almost as if she was making fun of everyone's ignorance. It was an expression I wouldn't have dreamed to find on Maria's face. She's just getting a little silly. She's just getting a little silly. She's just getting a little silly. It's just a little silly. Come on, there's nothing to worry about. It's just a little silliness. We get a little silly. And she laughed. That eerie, jarring laugh. Something I didn't want to believe was possible, even though I was looking at it right in front of my eyes.
You people aren't even close. Can't you tell just by looking?
While everyone was busy being scared out of their wits, Maria kept on cackling happily by herself. After a while, the laugh was suddenly and abruptly cut off. But her expression still looked like it belonged to someone completely different from Maria.
This is the 7th magic circle of the sun. The characters are written in Hebrew. Give it here.
Sure. Maria stole the writing materials from the stunned Hideyoshi's hand. She then started drawing another magic circle with a rustle, right next to the one Hideyoshi had drawn.
See? It looks sort of like this, right?
Yes, it was. Maria, incredible. You really do know a lot. Jessica tried to smooth things over by praising Maria. Maybe she wanted to confirm that this was still the Maria we all knew so well. But Maria didn't answer her in any way in particular. Maria began swiftly writing unfamiliar characters in the corners of the shape. When Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nanjo saw them, their eyes immediately began to open wide. Written on the top and bottom and left and right are the names of the angels who preside over wind, fire, earth, and water. Isn't that the name of like a song? Or like a band or something? Isn't it like that song? It's like, do you remember the 21st night of September? Chasan, Arel, Porlock, and Taliyahad. Actually, it might be pronounced Hassan. I don't know. You take it from how Hesed is pronounced. I don't fucking know. I'm just gonna say Chasan. Chasan, Arel, Porlock, and Taliyahad. And the 4 corners are the names of the 4 great kings. Ariel, Seraph, Tharshis, Ariel, Seraph, Tharshis, and Cherub. Is that what you saw? Oh wait, somebody's saying all this. Even if they hadn't been able to correctly write what they'd seen, when they were once again shown something identical, it wasn't difficult for them to realize the 2 were the same. When Maria asked them whether it matched, Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nanjo nodded over and over again.
There's no mistake. That's it. I'm sure there were characters that looked like that. How are you able to write something like that? There were also characters written around the circumference.
I know. Like this, right?
Maria quickly began to surround the circumference with more Hebrew writing. Oh, it's in Hebrew. Yeah, it probably was pronounced without the CH. Oops.
It's from a psalm of the Old Testament, the 16th and 17th versions of the 116th Psalm. You must have at least read the Bible, right?
Acting as though knowing this was only common sense, Maria laughed. For a while, everyone, including me, was at a loss for words. A little later, George Aniki returned to his senses and slowly managed to speak. That's incredible. I'm surprised. So, what meaning does this magic circle have?
It's a magic circle to borrow the power of the sun. He who wears it as a talisman drawn in gold shall be able to break free from the bonds of any prison and receive the power to gain freedom.
To break free from bonds and gain freedom? Sounds deep.
The word bonds is not limited in its interpretation to some kind of physical object. Therefore, it does not only hold meaning for people locked up in an actual jail.
She hasn't done the little in like forever. What's going on?
It can also refer to the release from mental bonds, such as ties of obligation and inescapable faith.
Ties of obligation and inescapable fate, you say? That's also pretty deep.
But I really don't understand. What does this have to do with those 6 bodies? Far from being released, they were killed and stuffed in a storehouse, weren't they?
It's not like the magic circle was drawn for their sakes. The 6 of them were in there for the sake of the magic circle. It is truly pitiable.
What do you mean? What in the world do you mean when you say the 6 of them were in there for the sake of the magic circle? Maria lifted up her pointer finger and waggled it, as if she were making fun of us.
That's written around the circumference. Can you read it? Psalms chapter 116, verses 16 and 17. I'll read it for you. The Lord has freed me from my chains. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving, and will call on the name of the Lord. See?
See, you say? I've got no idea what you're talking about. You're saying they're human sacrifices? If what Maria had just read aloud was a vital part of the magic circle, then it was saying that sacrifices had to be offered in order for this magic circle to be effective. So, human sacrifices had been offered inside the storehouse, where the magic circle had been drawn. A heartbeat later, everyone else seemed to reach the same conclusion. Some people were shocked, and others spat out that this was insane as they punched their knees. This was starting to get incredibly disturbing. And that's what we love here! And we couldn't accept it or understand it. I don't care what kind of magic circles or curses others believe in. I won't pick a fight with them. Oh god. Doing the ADHD voice put so much fucking shit in my throat. Did they really kill Dad and the rest as sacrifices for crap like that? I just couldn't stand that feeling. Compared to this, I preferred it when we were still disgusted by that theory about the fight over the inheritance. Compared to this, I preferred it when we were still disgusted by that theory about the fight over the inheritance. That's more like it, I guess. As I started getting pissed off with a feeling between anger and sadness, I broke from the circle everyone was in and returned once again to the window. Something had gone insane since yesterday. It was that letter from the witch, Beatrice, that Maria had read aloud last night's dinner. Ever since that point, it feels like this whole mansion and this whole island have been getting more and more firmly locked inside some kind of bizarre world. That's right. When I think back on it, that letter was an invitation from the witch. The ruler of the nighttime island had invited us inhabitants of the day into another world. The phone and the radio had been interrupted and the island was shut off by the typhoon, so you really could call this place another world cut off from the real one by now. Yeah, as this island is now, it's perfectly normal for a witch to send us letters and human sacrifices to be offered up for the sake of magic circles. So what'll happen next? Will some weird people wearing goat masks start doing the Bond Festival dance or something? It's hopeless. It's hopeless. I don't get it. The inside of my head's all screwed up. I don't even know what to think. Anger, sadness, the opposing emotions all swirled up together. They start to suck me in. You know something? This might be the last stream that I do before I finally get my first job. I'm gonna get some water. Okay. Unable to resist, I could do nothing but cover my eyes with my hands and trust to my mind and body as I started getting sucked in. As I started losing heart, I began to recall a memory from when I was small. It was from when I was very young. I had unfortunately seen a scary occult movie on TV, and for a while, I hadn't even been able to go to the bathroom by myself. That old bastard gave an exaggerated laugh and said this.
Hey, Battler. Why do you think they go to all the trouble to make movies like this about demons and the occult and such? It's because they don't exist. Something that ridiculous can't be found anywhere on the planet. Because they don't exist, people want to see them and go to a lot of effort making them. That's why those occult movies just make me laugh. If I were forced to choose, I'd say, other than demons and monsters, this year's earnings call and angry wives are 100 million times scarier. I'll go further, okay? From my point of view, getting scared is a recreational emotion, something for people who've got room to relax in both their hearts and their lifestyles. They had so much free time, they didn't know what to do with it. So in order to entertain their mind with unusual emotions, people started creating a culture with demons and the occult and stuff.
Seriously, why have I been acting so damn thick-headed? I was totally taken in. Don't try to mess with me. This is the human world.
Sure it is. Sure. And then he died from a witch. Yeah, fucking real. Boy, you're in Witch Town, boy! Don't you fucking... Boy, you've gone to fucking Witch Town!
I don't give a damn about witches, demons, magic circles, and sacrifices. The human who killed Dad and everyone else is still on this island. That's all there is to it, right? The next person who started speaking to my heart was Kairi-san. You see, in both chess and shogi, when you reach the very, very last stage of the game and get closer and closer to cornering your opponent, the number of optimal moves you could possibly make gets smaller and smaller. Therefore, if you're backing someone against the wall, or if someone's doing the same to you, both players' moves become infinitely easier to read. In other words,
radical! Piracy for the win! We love piracy here! We love not paying for things! Yeah!
and it's like, I would say, like, don't say the names of piracy sites, you know, like, on, like, YouTube or whatever, because, like, then people might look for them and it might get taken down. But you know what? These streams get, like, fucking 30, 40 views on average, and that's, like, after they're done. Usually, like, 5 people maximum show up to these streams. So, like, yeah. I don't think that any feds are gonna find out about the funny Toho piracy site, from, like, here, you know? In other words, when you're completely cornered and you think you have no moves left, that is the moment when it's easiest to read your opponent. However, when a person is forced into a defensive position, they can't help but lose their ability to think clearly, so they aren't able to get their minds around their opponent's moves.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just the creators, it's just, like, people who, like, get piracy websites shut down and shit, you know?
well, yeah, still. There's like, yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, speaking of piracy, apparently, something's wrong with, like, the torrent site 1337X, and it was, apparently the downfall was predicted by, like, one of the 3 people who can crack Denuvo. Empress, the one who talks like a JRPG villain. So that's interesting. But basically, as far as I know, 1337X is no longer a trustworthy site. That's when you spin the chessboard around. With all my strength, I slapped my face with both hands. Now, my eyes were truly open. And you don't understand anything, and you're completely cornered just like I am now. Isn't that the perfect time to spin the chessboard around? Yeah, it does. I use like there's like this piracy mega thread on like one of the Reddits that I'm on, one of the subreddits that I visit. And as far as I know, 1337X was like the only one that was in English. For some reason, all the rest are like Russian. Actually, hang on. Maybe there's a reason for that. Hang on. Is piracy illegal in Russia? Oh. Apparently, supposedly, it might be banned or it might be legal in Russia, but I don't know. Oh yeah, by the way, I would recommend getting a VPN. If you're gonna keep pirating stuff, I'd recommend getting a VPN. While on the defensive, we can't even guess at the culprit's scheme. We spin it around and look at it that way. Just what might we see? First off, at the time the culprit committed the murders, they knew the island was being cut off by the typhoon. Therefore, they should have understood that even if they carried out the murders, they wouldn't be able to get away early the next morning. In short, the culprit had begun without securing a way to escape. Furthermore, that bastard tossed the corpses in the storehouse, and was even kind enough to say, "Here they are," with that weird bit of graffiti. In other words, since we'd probably find the corpses sooner or later, they wanted to show them to us. If we'd all been dim and hadn't noticed the storage shed, the culprit's goal would not have been achieved, would it? If you think about it this way, that bastard of a culprit. Since this morning, they must have been watching our every move with bated breath. After all, we hadn't been so kind as to discover what was on the storehouse. All of that hard work and preparation they did last night would have just gone poof. Hey, wait a second. Oh, wait, no, yeah, she died. Hey, what the fuck does that mean? What? Wait, didn't what's his face mention that? This guy? Didn't Kinzo mention something about the Devil's Roulette or something while he was screaming about Beatrice? What's the fucking deal here? What's in the tips section? this is just this is just stuff we've already seen. I'm gonna read these. His corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. The direct cause of death is unknown, but it seems the side of his head was smashed after his death. This is the beginning of everything. This, I think these are all the same. His corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. His face seems to have been smashed after death. He has a right to lament his ill fate. Oh, okay. Man, her outfit is so cute. Look at those socks. It's adorable. Her corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. Her face seems to have been smashed after her death. She was chosen by the Demon's Roulette. That's all there is to it. I think they all just say corpse found inside the storehouse. I'll get to see her again, so I don't feel... What? George? George, is that you? Is that you saying that? Or is it... It's like none of these seem to be like narrated by anyone in particular. Oh wait, no, actually, that's right. I'm a fucking idiot. I fucking confused Rosa and Shannon. But then who the fuck is saying this? Maria? Is it Beatrice? Is it fucking... Is it fucking Beatrice? How unfortunate. Apparently, he was originally supposed to be on duty in the guest house. Don't worry. Everyone will be revived in the Golden Land. What did the culprit want to make us feel by showing us the corpse in the storehouse? All 6 of the bodies had their faces noticeably destroyed. Was it a grudge? A warning? The defacement of the bodies had occurred after death, so it hadn't been the means by which the culprit killed. It didn't mean anything to those who had been killed. It did have meaning to those who found the bodies. The culprit wanted to make it appear that they had been killed so brutally. Ha! After thinking this way, I really want to tell that bastard to stop taking me so lightly. Who just danced that tune? If you're told, please be scared, you can't just say, really? Sure thing. When someone tells the great Ushiromi of Battler, the entrance is right here, I'm the kind of guy who will start wanting to sneak in through the window. The next thing that had me concerned was that so-called magic circle in the shutter. As Maria, who had shown that her knowledge of the cult rival grandfathers had recognized, that magic circle was genuine. They must have drawn that thing in pitch black darkness, taking a lot of time and holding an umbrella in one hand. Isn't that amount of hard work and perfectionism impressive? What purpose would have been worth all of that effort? If we were looking for a fan of the occult in this mansion, most likely, all of us would naturally suspect Grandfather. Did they want to make us think Grandfather was involved? But if that's all they wanted, they could have just drawn any old scribble that looked like a magic circle. It wasn't like any of us amateurs would be able to tell the difference between genuine and fake. However, this magic circle was genuine, and furthermore, it had even been written in Hebrew. So this magic circle had a message that could only be understood by someone with knowledge of the occult. A message is a form of communication. By sending it, they were hoping for a reaction. A reaction? For some reason, they couldn't find Grandfather now. I don't know how Grandfather might have spotted the magic circle on the shutter. But did he choose to hide himself in reaction to that? No. Was it a trap to make us suspect that Grandfather had participated? You could read it either way. Damn, that's annoying. What kind of reaction was the culprit hoping to get out of us by putting this occult show? Somehow, that felt like the culprit's weak point. The letter from Beatrice that Maria had read aloud during last night's dinner sprang back into my mind. This was a freak who'd asked us to enjoy a battle of wits. Isn't that interesting? This is a battle of wits between us and the witch. Will we be sucked up by her occult game first? Or will we pull off her fake skin first? It's a whole day until the typhoon passes. Why not enjoy ourselves? I finally noticed the inside of the parlor had gone quiet again. Everyone sunk into their favorite sofas, some deep in thought, some irritated, some acting depressed. Maria was once again enjoying the TV as if she'd never left it. It looked like she found the commercials more fun than the boring program. She happily yelled, "Ooh, ooh," and giggled. I stared at each person's appearance in turn. If there isn't a 19th person, the culprit must be in this room. Right now, Aunt Nazi is searching the mansion with the servants, right? And we shouldn't say in this room. In this mansion is where the culprit has to be. After all, it's possible Aunt Nazi was behind this. We still can't deny that one of the servants might be the killer. Anyone could be guilty. Still, Aunt Nazi and the rest sure are taking their time. Of course, it's not a small mansion, but isn't this taking a little too long just to walk around, checking the windows and doors? Just as I was thinking this, Aunt Nazi and the rest returned. Not one of them was missing. But our relief was short-lived. Everyone looked at Aunt Nazi in shock. The talk I'd had with Aunt Eva started to creep back in my mind. The possibility that the culprits had been enough in numbers or weapons to kill all of those 6 at once. She's got a gun! Bro, hang on, I want to see what the She's got a fucking gun! Forgive me if I've startled you. I brought this to be prepared for the worst. After all, that thing in Aunt Nazi's hand was a rifle. At a glance, its silhouette looked a lot like a hunting gun, but it was unusually short and kind of looked like a kid-sized weapon. However, it had a weightiness to it that made it clear it was no kid's toy. That gun is Kinzo-san's, isn't it?
Did you know about it? That's right. I remembered it was in Father's old collection, and I managed to find it.
Wow! Awesome! Natsuhi-san, is that thing real?
Yes, it's real. It can fire live ammunition. Long ago, Father used it to scare away wild birds.
That takes me back. Where did you find that thing? No matter how much I asked him to let me touch it, he never let me lay even one finger on it. Oh, grandfather had one of these. Oh, grandfather had one of these? I didn't know that. Long ago, grandfather was really addicted to cowboy films. That generation really liked this kind of rifle.
Is that a Winchester? But I've never seen one that short before.
Ah! I remember! It's that gun! That really takes me back. That's the one Steve McQueen fired off and Wanted, alive or dead. Father sure has good taste. It is an item the master ordered specifically from America, long ago. As you can see, it is a working gun. So please don't tell anyone about this. He was quite fond of it right after he managed to acquire it. It seems the workings that ejected the cartridges were more interesting to him than shooting it. And he played around with it back in the forest all the time. Ho 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 ho!
Still, it's rather disturbing. Are you sure you should be dragging this out? This is to prepare for the worst. There was probably more than one offender involved. Furthermore, those horrible people killed 6 of us, including my husband. I have a responsibility to protect everyone until tomorrow, in my husband's place.
As Natsuhi-san said this, she slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. She had been trying to find grandfather, as well as check the doors and windows. Since grandfather wasn't with her, she probably still didn't know where he was.
I carefully checked all the doors and windows throughout the mansion. However, we must be prepared for anything. Everyone, I think it would be best if we all remained here.
Oh, good point.
If everyone's gathered here, then we can all feel more secure by keeping an eye on each other. What do you mean by that, Eva-san?
Nothing really. I'm just agreeing with your opinion, aren't I? It was a stormy atmosphere. Oh, so this is the two that are going to be torn apart. Were they really that close? There's a stormy atmosphere between the two of them. If you think about who was the most suspicious from the inheritance problem standpoint, Aunt Eva was the obvious answer. However, there was no proof that Aunt Natsuhi was innocent. No. If you view Beatrice's letter as one of Grandfather's complicated pranks, then think of this crime as just an extension of that. There's more than enough reason to suspect even Grandfather. Also, Aunt Natsuhi thought the criminal was on the outside, but Aunt Eva thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was the question of whether or not a 19th person exists. That same question has been repeated endlessly since last night's dinner, with the letter from the witch who called herself Beatrice. Ah! 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 Among Us! Among Us! Ah! Get out of my head! Oh. So was the culprit among us? Or not? God, fuck! I fucking hate it. I fucking hate the fact that I still laugh at the stupid meme from like 2021. And did the witch Beatrice exist or not? If you assume that something as stupid as a witch can't exist, you're basically saying that one of these relatives here, who share a common bloodline, is the culprit. If that was too unpleasant, it'd be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale-like character of the witch. A witch? A witch drawing a bizarre magic circle and offering human sacrifices? If I could accept that rubbish, I'd be able to trust all the people in this room. However, damn common sense got in the way. It kept repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit must... Among Us. Oh. In that case, the culprit must be among us. Fuck! 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 Ugh. In the middle of the seemingly endless rain, none of us could break the silence. Okay, so 1 p.m. It's not twilight yet. Lunch ended, and the servants removed the tableware and went to the kitchen. The wind and rain neither weakened nor strengthened, and the island remained cut off from the outside world. At first, it seemed as though Natsuhi planned to stop anyone from taking a step outside the room. But when it came time to prepare lunch, she finally realized this would be impossible. However, in order to avoid having anyone alone in the kitchen, she told the 3 servants to go together. Because of that, the servants were the first ones given the right to leave the stuffy parlor, which had been packed with 11 people. Since breakfast had immediately followed that terrible incident, preventing most of us from eating much, everyone tore into their lunches in silence. I will wash the dishes, so you can rest a while, Kanon-kun, Genji-san. Do you want something to drink? I don't need anything. Kanon? I don't need anything either.
You two must have been so busy. It's so early in the morning. It's no wonder you're worn out.
The only noise was that of Kumasawa washing the dishes, which resounded throughout the kitchen. Genji and Kanon sat in some chairs a short distance away, their eyes lightly closed. Just as Kumasawa had said, those two had probably built up a great deal of fatigue. But that didn't mean they could let it show in front of the relatives. Avoiding that was one of their virtues. After the silence continued for some time, Kanon opened his mouth and muttered, Shannon, why did she have to die in such a horrible way?
Forget about the manner of her death. It was nothing more than bad luck.
You're right. It was nothing more than bad luck. They both fell silent once again. Kanon's expression was filled with grief. think that Shannon-chan's actually dead. I still can't believe it. Poor thing. Not being able to see her again feels like a lie. Just wanted to see your smiling face one more time. Oh, this is Kumasawa. Whoops. Oh well. Kumasawa spoke with her back facing them. After all, Kumasawa hadn't seen Shannon's corpse, so she had no trouble mentioning Shannon's face. When Kenon heard those words, it reminded him again of how only half of Shannon's face had been left, and his grieving expression twisted even further. Why did Beatrice-sama do that to Shannon? If she wanted a sacrifice, there were plenty of others to choose from. Why? Why?
It was nothing more than bad luck. If we were less lucky, you or I might have been lying out there instead of Shannon. Or it could have been someone else entirely. Everything is left to fate.
Genji-sama, you said the door to Madame's room was stained with traces of something like blood, right? The same substance that was painted on the shutter?
Indeed. It was an unsettling mark. Almost as though someone with blood-stained fingers had been trying to pull out the doorknob. No, scratch through the door. That sort of unpleasant mark.
So does this mean Beatrice-sama came to visit Madame's room? And tried to open the door? But couldn't? Genji thought back to the time he had seen those traces of blood on the door to Natsuhi's room. With the substance sticking to the door and around the doorknob, and the marks of something scratching against the door. It had definitely appeared as though someone had tried to open the door, but couldn't. How did the madam avoid being chosen as a sacrifice? If only she'd been chosen, Shannon wouldn't have had to die. Just then, a loud, sharp noise came in from the hall. Fucking, what's her name again? Natsuhi's gone and shot someone! Both of them turned around, surprised. It's a pretty interesting chat you're having there. Unfortunately, let me join in too. Before any of the servants realized it, somebody else is narrating again. Who is fucking narrating? Battler's being fucking talked about in the third person. Who the fuck is narrating this? Is it Beatrice? She's just like fucking like, you know how like fucking like hamsters or lizards will like fucking like prop themselves up in a corner. I'm pretty sure it's something that like humans can do too, but like I usually see it being done by like lizards or whatever the fuck. The fucking they put out their hands on like all four sides, like the fucking like the corner or something, like on the walls, and they'll like fucking like push themselves, like push their back to the corner. You think she's doing that? And she's just like watching them, like full human form. She's just like fucking like pushing herself into the fucking like upper corner of one of the rooms. She's like up against the fucking ceiling, just narrating. Before any of the other servants realized it, Battler was standing in the doorway to the kitchen. Battler-sama, how rude of us. Genji-san and Kanon-kun stood up, surprised, and hastily bowed. But I didn't care about stuff like that. I was more concerned with continuing their discussion. I told them I was going to the bathroom, so they let me go, thought I'd suffocate it. Wait a second. What, now Battler's fucking narrating again. What the fuck? Who is narrating? Who is fucking narrating? I was about to come ask you guys for some water, but then I overheard something pretty interesting. You don't need to bow your heads or anything. Please, let me hear the rest. That just now wasn't really... I've been listening to you for a while. Don't try to hide it now. So I'll ask directly. Who is this Beatrice? She's supposed to be a witch from a kid's story, but doesn't look that way now. I thought you said witches weren't fucking real. Are witches real or are they not, Battler? Are bitches real? Are bitches real? Ushinomiya Battler? Are bitches real? Kanon-kun averted his gaze. It was obvious that he didn't want to talk about this, which only made me want to ask even more. While making an effort to smile, I grabbed the collar of his shirt. Last night, this would have been none of my business. But after this morning, everything's changed. Now that Dad and the rest have been killed, this is totally my business. I have the right to listen to this suspicious story, don't I? Oh, don't I? I glared into Kanon's eyes as he continued to avert his gaze in apparent pain. Since there was a big difference in our heights, Kanon had to stand on his toes, and it looked like it hurt a bit. Battler-san, please let go of him. Kanon-san isn't really hiding anything. Then you won't have any problem talking about it, right? It's lonely being out of the loop, you know? When I tried to further twist up his collar. Genji-san cut between us and spoke. In his expression were faint traces that he'd made up his mind to do something. Apparently, he had no intention of hiding it. I can tell you about it. Kanon only hesitated because you might have taken it badly, Battler-sama. Hesitating, huh? Not very manly. Don't fucking bully him over it. Don't be fucking mean, Battler. Whatever it is you're talking about, it's even more unpleasant having it kept a secret. Tell me about it. It's not like we have anything better to do before tomorrow comes. A slightly spooky story might be the best way to avoid getting bored. Genji-san and Kanon-kun looked at each other, then nodded as though they had decided to talk. Understood. Please ask us anything. We will talk. Right. Then I'll ask. Who in the world is Beatrice? All I know is that she's a witch who lives in the forest. All I know is that she's a witch who lives in the forest of Rakanjima. I've heard it's a story grandmother or someone invented to keep people out of the dangerous forest. Is that wrong? No, it isn't wrong. It's as you say. Beatrice is a witch who dwells in the forest of Rakanjima. Battler-sama. I don't expect you to believe this all of a sudden, but Beatrice-sama exists. She is a real person, the one who gave the master a vast amount of gold, and who worked by his side for many years. Huh? Ah, come on. Is grandfather paying you to repeat everything he says? I laughed like it was a joke, but neither Genji-san nor Kanon-kun laughed. Not even Kumasawa-bachan, who was avoiding my eyes, flustered, as she started washing the dishes. So, unfortunately, I was the only one laughing. Painfully. Bitterly. I see. That's why Genji-san refused to mention it. If you really mean it, of course I'd take it badly. So, you're saying that a person named Beatrice actually exists?
Yes. She has been working for the Master since before the mansion was built on this island. She has most likely been working for him even longer than I have.
What do you know? What do you know? Kairi-san's theory was off. Grandfather really did have a confidant called Beatrice. Is that person on the island now? Yes. I believe that she is here.
That's a vague way to say it.
I guess that means you haven't seen her face today or yesterday. That is correct. It is extremely difficult to say, but, Kanon-kun once again dropped his gaze, avoiding my eyes. Come on, don't just stop there. That's like freezing an inch before the blow, right? I urged him on jokingly again. However, it looked like Kanon was still confused as to whether he should speak or not. Then Kumasawa-ba-chan whispered.
Ho ho ho. You cannot see her face, because Beatrice-sama has no form.
She has no... What did you say?
Beatrice-sama has no body. Therefore, unless Beatrice-sama wishes it, common people like us are not able to see her form. I have heard the portrait shows what Beatrice-sama looked like back when she had a human form. It seems he yearned for that figure so much, you'd often stand in front of that portrait. Ho ho ho.
Beatrice-sama sometimes shows herself by changing her form to... Beatrice-sama sometimes shows herself by changing her form into glittering butterflies. On the rare occasion that you spot them somewhere in the mansion, there is a rule that you absolutely mustn't chase after them. It's whispered that you will meet with disaster if you do. In fact, there was a servant who broke that rule and quit because of a great injury.
Wait a sec. Are you kidding me? Are you all serious about this? The Beatrice! The Beatrice is real! Battler-sama, Beatrice-sama has already arrived. Such language may be unwise.
Beatrice-sama does not like it when she is profaned. If you doubt her existence, you will surely meet with disaster.
Battler-san, you probably find this topic unpleasant. But you know what? Beatrice-sama does exist. She exists. Beatrice-sama hates people who doubt that.
Can't you tell, Battler-sama? Beatrice-sama has already arrived here.
Come on, quit it. I'm weak against that stuff. Enough with the cheap threats.
However, there was no trace of a joke in the eyes of the three servants. On the surface, I laughed and tried to look unconcerned, but I was quickly starting to sober up. Their eyes were also sobering up fast.
Battler-san, I beg that you stop profaning Beatrice-sama. Please trust me.
Kumasawa-ba-chan, who was usually cheerful and would always tease people, now spoke with a totally serious face.
Well, even if you say she exists, I don't see anything.
Are you trying to say she's standing right next to me or something? Like I said, she's fucking pushed up again. She's pushed up into the corner. She's got like a video camera. She's recording. Quit joking around. Hi. Just then, that unnerving laugh suddenly filled the kitchen. Hi, Maria-chan. When I turned around, Maria was standing by the entrance. But her expression and the feeling about her presence, felt exactly the same as the servants.
Whether you wavelength matches or not is determined at birth. Battler, you were born with a mismatched wavelength. That's why you can't see her. That's why you can't meet with her. And that's why you can't talk to her. You're the type Beatrice hates the most.
Maria laughed like it was funny, but it sounded extremely eerie. It was almost like she was laughing at me because I alone didn't understand.
Do you want to know about Beatrice?
Yeah, let her cook! For real.
Beatrice is a 1,000-year-old witch. With all of the demons at her command, she can harness the power of alchemy to create the Philosopher's Stone and a vast quantity of gold. Grandfather built up all the vast wealth of the Ushinomiya family by making a contract with her. Yesterday, I read Beatrice's letter, didn't I? That was real. Well, I guess it's pointless for me to try and force you to believe. After all, it looks like you were born without a trace of the sixth sense.
What are you talking about? Witches? Demons? Who told you about that?
I heard it from Beatrice herself.
Maria kept doing that unpleasant laugh. However, the servants who watched over this didn't even blink. She heard it from... that witch in the portrait adorning the entrance hall. Maria kept on laughing in a weird voice, as though this was nothing more or less than the truth. Maria, it might be rude to ask, but I'll ask one more time, okay? Who gave you that letter yesterday?
I got it from Beatrice. How many times must I tell you before you understand? You don't get it, do you? You can't see it. You can't believe it, can you?
Just then, Maria's laughter suddenly stopped.
Battler, you still don't understand? Beatrice-sama exists.
She exists, you say? But where?
Like I said, Beatrice-sama exists here.
That's right. I think both of them are supposed to be speaking at the same time. That's right. Oh wait, no, nobody's speaking. Now that I think about it, I've been feeling for a while now. The servants' eyes have been pointed in quite the right direction. I figured they were just staring absent-mindedly, but that wasn't the case. The four here, Genji-san, Kanon-kun, Kumasawa-san, and Maria. Everyone except me was looking at a spot right behind me. Holding my breath tightly, I slowly looked over my shoulder. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I've known that the whole time. However, everyone in the room except me was focusing on that point, as if there was someone there.
Beatrice is the mighty golden witch who has lived for 1,000 years. But since she can't show her form to humans of the wrong wavelength, she can't talk to them. And you know what? sad. It means she truly despises it when people like you, who were born without a fragment of the ability needed to sense magic, deny that she exists. You're lucky, Battler. Good thing I gave you that charm yesterday, right? Don't you realize what kind of curse Beatrice would have put on you by now if you hadn't been carrying it around? You really are lucky, Battler.
Oh, that scorpion keychain. I thought that was just some cheap gift or something, but you're saying it really had some power?
If it weren't for that, you'd be lying in that storehouse as a sacrifice with your face crushed by now. You're so lucky, Battler.
I see. So if it weren't for that, I'd have been killed by now.
Battler, why don't you believe in Beatrice? Even though she exists.
Ugh.
Right now, over there. Look. Hey, I'll bet you want to believe it now. Believe it. And thank me for giving you that charm. If it weren't for that, you'd be in the storehouse right now. But then, maybe you would have saved someone else in exchange, right?
Right then, I burst into laughter. Playing witches had been pretty fun up until a second ago, but unfortunately, that last one seemed to be too much for me to gloss over. Then it's all useless, isn't it, Maria? If that's true, then sorry, but it's all useless. When Maria saw me suddenly start laughing, she stopped. Even though she didn't understand what I was laughing at, she realized it wouldn't be pleasant for her. I thought it might hurt you, so I didn't say it earlier, but... Well, I thought I put that charm you gave me in my pocket, but I must have dropped it somewhere. So the charm can't be the only reason I'm alive now. And even though I should have been cursed by the witch, I'm perfectly fine. Sorry, but I don't believe in things I can't see with my own eyes. So that people mainly use the word sauce to refer to hentai? Yeah. It's unfortunate. Sauce, in a slang term, should only be referred to should only be used to refer to hashtag swag. God. I'm sorry if that wasn't funny. Yeah, welcome to the stream, by the way. But yeah, well, actually, technically, referencing back in my day, they don't actually call this stuff itself sauce. It's like, it's more like asking for the source. I'm pretty sure that people use, like, the same stuff for, like, just, like, regular, like, anime and whatnot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just a silly way of saying source, actually. Yeah, it's usually that, I'm pretty sure that's what it's usually. When people ask for this sauce, it's usually for some degenerate shit. But, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it does just technically mean source. Sixth senses? Wavelengths? Magic sensitivity? Sorry, but I don't believe in fake stuff like that. When I hear the girls in class start talking about how good or bad their ability to sense the supernatural is, it pisses me off. much grandfather is paying you, but if you're trying to talk me into joining some cult, believe me, you won't be able to do it that easily. Battler Selma, you guys are free to believe whatever you want. However, when it comes to the things I believe, the one who decides is always me. Sorry, but I can't believe in something as shady as Beatrice until I've seen her with my own eyes. I spoke forcefully and sharply. Then, Maria started cackling again.
Well, that's just fine, isn't it? Eventually, even people like you with totally mismatched wavelengths will be able to see Beatrice. Very soon, she will revive. Beatrice will revive. Once that happens, she's promised to talk with me and play with me a lot. There will be absolutely no need for you to doubt or for us to force you to believe. She will appear very soon.
After a meal, some people tend to head to the bathroom. Well, it's you can't say fucking website names? My god. We live in a fucking society. We live in a society. After a meal, some people tend to head to the bathroom, while others prefer to relax for a bit. It seemed that several people had left the parlor, just like I did when I went to the kitchen to drink some water. In the end, Aunt Natsuhi reluctantly retracted her order that everyone remain packed into the parlor, on the condition that no one headed out on their own, or strayed too far. In any case, if 11 people are shut up in the same room starting early in the morning, the air will start to stagnate. Also, quite some time had passed, so everyone was starting to recover from the shock of that morning, and their sense of danger might have been weakening too. However, there was a certain fact, so no one was completely negligent. So whenever they went out into the hallway for a breath of fresh air, trying to act tough, they would quickly get scared of standing there, isolated, and would eventually return to the parlor. I guess it's like the north wind and the sun. If you force someone to stay shut in, they'll resist, but if you tell them to do whatever they want, they'll come back obediently. People really do like not doing what they're told. When the servants finished cleaning up from the meal, they returned obediently to the parlor. Posted your 100th TikTok slideshow today? Radical. That's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations, yo. Just Aunt Natsuhi had told them to, and sat on a sofa near the entrance, patiently awaiting orders. Maria, almost as though she had suddenly finished playing witches, had returned to the pure Maria I knew well, saying, "Ugh! What in the world happened back there?" I hadn't felt even an atom of the presence of this person called Beatrice, who was supposedly standing behind me, invisible. However, it felt like I'd glimpsed a little of that presence inside Maria.
You're right. When Maria starts talking about witches, her personality changes. Battler-kun, You also saw it down by the beach yesterday, right?
You mean that scorpion keychain? No, I don't mean like when her feelings are hurt. I'm talking about her having a dual personality or something.
Yeah, that happens sometimes too. That thing Maria did when she was talking about the magic circle does happen every now and then. It's freaky though.
Apparently, just 'cause spotted that just Maria a few times. I just happened to catch it at a bad moment. I was pretty freaked out seeing it for the first time. That's radical. Yeah. It's fucking real. Yeah. Me and the 4chan girl. Yeah, that's radical. Yeah. It's so cool getting silly with people. It's so fun to get silly.
So, what is that? Does Maria have a dual personality or something?
Are you saying that her spiritual... Oh, wait, actually. Wait, is this... I don't know who's talking here.
It's being possessed by a spirit or whatever? No, I don't think it's that. Haven't you ever experienced it? When you were small, didn't you ever want to be someone other than yourself?
When humans are born, no one has any individuality. However, when they reach their growth period, their sense of self starts to be born. They want to be different than other people. But since everyone else in their class is learning the same things at the same rate and being forced into the same lifestyle, of course they aren't going to find anything that makes them different from everyone else around them. Once they realize that, the first thing they do is to start breaking the rules, in what's called the rebellious stage. Since everyone else follows the rules, they want to show off their individuality by breaking them. So even those who try to act tough, mocking everyone around them and calling them childish, can actually be viewed as cute kids searching for themselves, if you look at it this way. Well, I'm lecturing about all this like I'm so smart, but I actually got it secondhand from George Aniki. I myself was one of those embarrassing guys who thought it was cool to act like a little bastard. Well, that was when I was at the age where you try to show off to the opposite sex.
The main feature of the growing period lies in an impulse to break away from your life as a kid, like a chick trying to crack open the shell of their egg. Do you know what makes children and adults different?
Age? Or do you mean size?
No, it's experience. Adults can look down on children because children have very little life experience. The reason they snort at everything children say is because they think kids know nothing about the real world. Yeah, I understand that. When you're a kid, you talk like you got life all figured out somehow, trying to act like an adult. No matter what kids say, adults just snort at them and say they're too naive, that they'll understand when they get older or something.
Fuck.
Well, it's probably true, but to a kid, it's just annoying, like they're being looked down upon.
I get it. It's a question of knowledge and experience. Well, I guess you're right that there's no reason to respect a person for their age if they've just wasted their lives.
Therefore, during the period when they try to separate themselves from other children, they also try to take on personality traits different from those around them. And if knowledge and experience is what separates kids and adults...
I get it. If they know something no one else knows, it becomes part of their identity. You know, when I was in elementary school, I'd learn things no one else knew, get things no one else had, wear things no one else wore. Became a bit of a hero for it. I bet you've done the same thing, Battler. Yeah. There was definitely an age when I wanted to excel in some skill or other. I see. So that's because I was trying to separate myself from being a child. Or going through my growing period, in other words.
To put a positive spin on it, the growing period forces you to separate yourself from others, thereby pushing you to gain skills and knowledge no one else has. This is also interesting from a sociological standpoint, because people hate being like everyone else. They try to learn skills other people don't know. In this way, society can acquire the broad range of skills it needs to survive. The quality of the gods' programming is truly surprising.
Personality traits can also be negative, right? Like if, say, everyone else in the class was studying hard, but I was the only one slacking off, trying to stand out. Okay, that last bit really was true about me. It's only recently that I've been able to thank the middle school teacher who slapped me after school. But, well, I'd try to jump over things no one else could. Sprint as fast as I could, trying to lap those guys with good grades while we did a marathon. Just felt like doing it. It was in my nature that if I couldn't study well, at least I could get back at them by exercising. I see. So I really did go through a proper growing period.
I guess boys really do tend to focus more on physical stuff. But you know, girls of the same age tend to focus more on mental, spiritual things. I'll bet there were groups of girls in your classes that got really interested in fortune telling and their spiritual senses.
Yeah, there were. They'd come over asking me for my sign and my blood type. Then they'd laugh.
I thought so.
It really got on my nerves. No matter which class you go to, girls like fortune telling. Deciding whether your spirit sense is strong or weak, what your sensitivity is, whether you can see the unseeable, that kind of thing definitely happened to me. Oh wait, that was Jessica talking. Or wait, no. Was it? I don't know.
That's because fortune telling and spiritual senses aren't things that aren't taught in school. To girls who tend to be more introverted, it's a genre that's easy to build an identity upon, and one that holds a lot of interest for them. Just like how, when boys enter their growing period, they start acting tough and rebel against adults. When girls enter their growing period, they start getting interested in that kind of thing. Well, I didn't, though.
So, Maria having so much interest in the occult, isn't that rare among girls her age? Even if we accept that, I wonder if it explains that creepy dual personality thing. Actually, I think I probably could accept that explanation, more or less.
As you just said, becoming an adult means gaining knowledge and experience. So, to gain that, it's necessary for children to learn all sorts of things and break free from childhood. However, there are certain convenient delusions that you see often in the world of children, both now and in the past. Do you know what I mean? You see it all the time in manga and anime, right? It's kind of like that. Like you got memories from a previous life that start to resurface. Like you're being possessed by the soul of the great something. Or whatever.
Or it could be that a sleeping gene gets awakened. Or maybe a sealed power or memory returns. There's all kinds. For some reason, stuff like that's really popular at that age. Why is that?
All those examples you just made are illusions. All those examples that you just mentioned are illusions that let children immediately add to their sum of knowledge and experience. If a 9-year-old girl says she has a 1,000-year-old witch possessing her, then she gains a 1,009-year-old identity. So basically, studying is annoying. But these delusions are convenient for people who want to brag about having a skill no one else has, amazing the people around them. So you can brag about something without having to work hard or study. I see. Isn't that a kid's greatest dream? Furthermore, to separate themselves from being kids, they always project an image of their ideal self. And it's not rare for that desired self to become an alternate personality. Even you, Battler-kun, probably had a slightly different personality at home and at school, right? It'd probably be embarrassing if your friends at school saw how you were at home. At school, you try to project yourself as you want to be, but home is where you're your true self.
So, in other words, I'm changing my personality depending on the situation. Are you trying to say having multiple personalities is actually really common?
A girl who's a fan of the occult might say she's being possessed or awakened.
Honestly, there are some kids who change their personalities so much it's creepy. And some boys do it too, right? Guys who say they've blown their top and suddenly turn into some overplayed violent character. I'll bet they think it's pretty cool, but it's just painful to watch. Let's sum this all up. So you're saying that even if a girl about Maria's age shows a creepy second personality like she did a minute ago, it isn't such a rare, unusual thing?
Simply put, that's right. Identity is an important factor when building up one's sense of self. If you make fun of it, it could actually cause children to go back into their shells. So it's important to go along with them to some degree. Although the broad-mindedness of the parent determines whether they play along in full or not.
Aniki, I can't believe you're single. You sound like you've already raised kids through middle school. So, I wonder if Aunt Rosa also knew much about Maria's dual personality.
She knew about it. Just between us, Aunt Rosa really hated it. She said it was unpleasant and that Maria was becoming increasingly isolated from the rest of the class. So anytime Maria started talking about the occult or laughing like a witch, she'd slap her. And it looks like Maria stopped talking that way in front of her.
Maybe that thing back there was just a little game from a girl facing her growing period. Just a girl trying to show that she was different and independent by holding interest in witches and the occult. And since she wanted to be different from herself, young as she was switching between her normal personality and the personality of her ideal, a witch. At first, I found that very disturbing. But after being lectured by George Aniki, I felt like this was a path everyone walked at one time or another. I haven't told anyone, but when I was in kindergarten, I joined up with a little gang of kids trying to form an Earth Defense Force, saying we'd help protect peace on Earth. My face turns red when I remember how, during what we called battle practice, we would chant, EDF! EDF! Just like usual, Maria was relaxing, immersed in the TV, and laughing just like any girl her age. But on the inside, another personality, that of the ideal witch she respected and blindly accepted, was sleeping. That wasn't anything extraordinary. It was perfectly natural for a girl of her age. I've calmed down, and my brain is starting to trail off. I might have to end stream soon. Stretch. The shock from a bizarre experience in the kitchen just now is fading away. If I hadn't talked to Aniki and Jessica, I might still be frightened by the idea that an invisible witch is standing right behind me. However, can I really accept that as an explanation for what happened back there? If it had just been Maria, I could have explained it as the fickle delusions of a growing girl. But Genji-san, Kanon-kun, and Kumasawa-ba-chan had also been there. None of them had denied what Maria said. They silently accepted that Beatrice exists. I was starting to feel a little uneasy. Aunt Eva's position was that no 19th person existed. That the crime was an inside job tied to the family quarrels. On the other hand, Aunt Nazi's position was that the culprit was hiding somewhere outside the mansion. So she rejected the possibility of an inside job and supported the idea of a 19th person existed. That a 19th person existed. God, fuck, whatever. In the kitchen, Maria and the servants had also supported the idea of a 19th person. But according to them, this 19th person isn't human. They said it was an invisible witch, carrying out some mysterious plan. Is there a 19th person? Or not? And is the culprit human or witch? For some reason, I couldn't just laugh off any of those possibilities. Not even the most ridiculous story about the witch. I think, you know, why don't we... My brain's starting to fizzle out, so why don't we end the stream on a cliffhanger? Well, sort of a cliffhanger. Yeah, I'm sorry, my brain is just... My brain is fucking, like, fried itself out. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you to everyone who showed up. I hope you all had fun, because I know that I did. And I hope to see you all again soon. Bye!